see. Makes sense. Talking about the exams themselves, talk about your views on the initial meeting that you might have with regulator, whether state or federal, and kind of the importance of that particular meeting to the examination, be it in terms of tone, process, etc. Would love to get your thoughts on that.
Well, with the federal examiners at my prior organization, I thought the introductory meeting was a really good example of showing what the CMS is in a more of a unfiltered approach. I mean, they're not asking you questions. You can basically do a dialogue and do a presentation. Here's what our CMS is. So it was a good opportunity to not be interrupted and have questions about a particular element. It allows you to show how your operation works. You bring in business folks. They can actually talk about what your business is, how you do things. Contrast that in a number of states, they don't want introductory meetings. They basically said, give me your documents and give me a room to look at them, and basically they'll bring you in for a few sessions to ask questions, and it's a completely different experience.
Yeah, I think we've had some experiences with states where that kickoff meeting was held, and if you have an exam team that's new to your company, or even the same exam team but they haven't been there in a while, you do want to give an overview of how your company is structured, what your products and services are, if they've changed since the last time they were there. You want to talk about your compliance management system, and also the geographies where different functions may occur, since some examiners might want to go on a site visit. And we haven't been examined by the CFPB yet, but one thing we did, we took a very proactive approach. And as soon as the larger participant rule became effective, we reached out to the Western Regional Director for Supervision at the CFPB and set up a meeting with him. And we really wanted to introduce him to our company. And I think the meeting went very well. We brought in the senior executives of the company to talk to him. And I think it really helped to start to develop those relationships with the CFPB that we think are so important.
And I think what you've both just said is important in part because I think it is an expectation. Calvin Higgins was up yesterday during the regulator portion talking about the need for the exam teams to learn about your business and to understand what you do. So, here you have companies talking about that's the way that they want to approach it and think they should approach it. And you've now heard the CFPB say, we want a similar type of approach. So I think there's something there that we can all take away and should certainly take to heart. These initial meetings sound important and valuable from both sides. One of the questions we received was, during the examination process, what is the best tactic for answering questions during an interview with examiners? Answer the question at a bare minimum, providing additional context, if it seems the examiners don't completely understand the basis even of their question. What sort of advice are you giving, are you using and giving to your business in terms of the way in which questions should be answered?
So one of the things I really want to avoid is treating it like a deposition and just saying yes or no. That'll make an exam go very badly in a short order. So the best thing to do is focus on the question being answered. One of the things I've told interviewees before an exam interview is basically focusing on what they're asking. Don't volunteer to answer about questions for another process. That's something that we'll have a subject matter expert speak to. One of the things that can go wrong with interviewees is they don't really understand another process, but they want to be very helpful and talk about it. And that often can be a wrong answer. Then you have to bring in the next person to explain why what they heard previously wasn't actually the process. So if you're going to do any prep, it's answer just the question you're being asked and focus on the area that you're knowledgeable about.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add except, the regulators purposely will ask open-ended questions because they do want to gather as much information as possible. So to Richard's point, definitely preparing your folks for those types of questions and how to answer them is really important.
So, Linda, Richard had touched upon the role of, or his view of the role of legal in terms of the examination process. Maybe taking it slightly differently, how do you view the role of compliance during the exam, and what is their role, and how should they be interacting in the review? How are you all doing it?
Well, our enterprise compliance department is very involved in the examination. We have a dedicated regulatory exam team that is really the focal point and the coordinator for every exam. They receive the first notice, that an exam is on the way, and then they'll go ahead and notify our senior management that a particular exam is happening. They'll notify the local field office where that state exam team might be located, because sometimes they like to conduct their exams from the field location. And then we go through a very rigorous process of reviewing the information request and gathering the documents and answering the questions. So we may have to reach out to the business to get some of those answers, but we are really coordinating the entire process, including before the exam, during the exam, and then post-exam.
Great.